Welcome to the Principal Podcast, where we talk about how the best professional services firms grow. Whether you're looking to scale your firm or learn from the stories of founders and leaders who've done it, you're in the right place. Join us as we interview the best leaders in professional services. Let's get on with the show. Martha, welcome to the Principal Podcast. Happy to have you.
Thank you for having me.
It is my pleasure. So, can you tell us the story? What drew you into government transformation and customer experience work?
Sure. So, I was in the government for a very long time. I started really in 1978, if I'm being honest. But throughout my career, I did normal government work and processing, applications or doing acquisitions, and then one day I became a leader in the Office of Citizen Services at the U.S. General Services Administration. And I had been representing the U.S. around the world on how the U.S. government was creating a digital government online, and countries from all over the world were talking about what they were doing. And in the U.S., we really hadn't made the citizen-focused services and information a priority. And so when I was in the Office of Citizen Services, and we had the website usa.gov, and we answered a central telephone number for the public to answer questions around the government, we were involved in every major disaster or around the world, because we answered phones from the State Department and the Overseas Citizen Services. And then we ran the website that if there was a national disaster, we would put information out for people to be able to get disaster assistance. So realizing how the government impacts everyday lives, you just started really understanding the impact that technology can have on improving lives, and not just the technology in isolation, but how using different customer experience practices could actually help to mobilize and focus the government on improving government services and its impact on the public.
It definitely does. Since I moved into the US, I receive some of those alerts via text sometimes. So I don't think that's something we have in France. Or maybe it's something that is happening less. I don't know. But yeah, I see what you're talking about. So tell me about the problem that you help people solve now. What is it that you help them achieve in your practice today?
So when you think about, so I do work with companies who want to do business in the government. So, in my office at GSA, we were a central organization. So we worked with with agencies across the whole federal government to help them improve their services. So with USA.gov, we got their information that we would deliver through our website, but we also started helping them use social media, the adoption of social media years ago. And then we created tools like a USA search so that agencies could put searches that searched government websites so that the public could find authoritative government information. And we created communities of people from different agencies to focus on websites, contact centers, customer experience, better service delivery. And it's really almost the same today. I mean, so I work with companies. I also work with a lot of the, I still keep in touch with a lot of the people in the government that are trying to improve the services. And let's just take, how do most people in the public access government information? They access it through websites. And if the websites don't work, or they can't find the information that they want, then they will pick up the phone or they'll chat with the government. So it's really, how do you help the public find the information anytime, anywhere, on any device? And so as COVID happened, it really also accelerated the use of technology, and whether it was with employees and remote working, so it pushed agencies into doing things in a way that they said that they couldn't do before. So some of the problems are getting agencies to understand, well, first of all, to prioritize service delivery, understand what customer experience is so that they can adopt some of these practices, identifying who their customers are, and then adopting or getting feedback and understanding how their customers want to, access government services. So, people going to a national park, are going to want to access information differently than somebody who's applying for Social Security. And so the whole anytime, anywhere on any device, so getting it so that the public can get their information and any of these channels, and it transfers from one channel to another, so they don't have to start over and adopting this omni-channel experience. So it's really just the problems are the same. It's getting people to prioritize it. It's getting people to get feedback real time from their customers so that they can understand what the issues are, and continually improve those services over time, so that, and we're making lots of progress. And one of the priorities right now is just moving to online transactions and digital experiences. And so there's just a continual education process, and then feeding the best practices from one agency to another and helping to create those communities.
So I was just thinking, if we could help the SSA office, Martha, provide appointments for social security numbers to people moving into the country faster, that would be amazing. Well, that's my small request here, because you need a social security number to do anything. But like when I arrived, I needed an appointment, and the appointment was like a month and a half away from now. Anyways, small parenthesis. I get you.
Well, you'll be surprised to know that I am working with the Social Security Advisory Board to make some recommendations to the Social Security Administration. And they are doing a lot of work. Just to give a plug to the Social Security Administration and the new commissioner that's there, they have really made a lot of progress from both headquarters all the way to field offices. It's not without, I actually just applied for Social Security. So I get your, I'm in understanding in what it's like. And so I actually was able to apply online. But getting appointments can be difficult sometimes.
Yeah. So I'm saying this, but I also need to give credits where credit is due. So within Houston, like I couldn't have an appointment like a month and a half like away from now. But so I did do a 1 hour and a half road trip to a town like an hour and a half away from Houston. And I had an appointment within like 2 weeks. And the lady was absolutely amazing. And she took care of me very, very fast. No questions asked, like super efficient process. So in the end, we were able to go much faster. But yeah, it's interesting when you get actually into the weeds of understanding a system from the customer slash patients slash beneficiary standpoint. And it's immediately a whole different ballgame. It's super interesting. Which kinds of answer the next question I wanted to ask you, Martha, which is who is it that you're helping specifically? So obviously agencies, governments, federal agencies. What I'm interested into digging a little bit deeper into is who is it that you need to get in front of to potentially start a conversation about helping? Like who's the decision maker that you need to get in front of to have that happen? Because I can only imagine that there is a lot of red tape, a lot of bureaucracy. So how do you make it work? Who do you need to talk to?
So it might help to give you a little bit of background.
Sure.
I retired 10 years ago. And so I run a consultancy, which my clients are primarily companies who want to do, who want to help the government, partner with the government to make this happen. I also put out my own podcast, the CX Tipping Point. I do a newsletter that pulls all this customer experience and citizen services stuff together. And then I run a Service to the Citizen Awards program to really highlight the successes that are happening across the federal government, as well as, federal, state, and local, and their industry partners. And so all of this kind of works together in a little bit of a well-oiled machine in terms of I run a couple of big conferences around like contact centers and customer experience. And so the Service to the Citizen Awards allows you to identify and highlight some of these best practices and these success stories. And then you can also, and it also gives you ideas on people in the government at different levels that you want to talk to, and that you can highlight their successes, not just through Service to the Citizen, but through conferences, as well as meeting with, it allows me to create a network within the government because of all these award winners, as well as all the way up through. I mean, having a network across the government is key to it. And it can be anywhere from the head of an agency, like the commissioner of the Social Security Administration. So he was a keynote speaker at Service to the Citizen Awards, which then allows me to have more of a relationship with him going forward, or people in his organization. So it's kind of a well-oiled machine over to the Office of Management and Budget, because they control the budget, they control, we have the Government Service Delivery Improvement Act, and now we've got the federal CIO, who is the lead for the whole government. So it's a big ecosystem of people that kind of all work together to get agencies to move forward. Did that answer your question?
So it does. I think it's you approached it more from the angle of the positioning and the strategy around networking, how to get through the doors, how to get in front of the people. I understand it's not as clear cut as, okay, I sell to finance departments, I need to talk to the CFO. If the CFO is on board, we have a deal. But for you, and I'm actually genuinely curious because I don't know how it works in the federal system and the government agency system. But who ends up making the decision of bringing a Martha Dorris in? Like, who is the person that is ultimately making the decision, Martha?
So the companies that I work with are ones that are in the service delivery,
interesting,
customer experience space. Yeah. Now, I would contend to say almost every company has a role in that, whether you're providing a CRM to agencies or whether you're a company that has contact centers across the government and is answering most of the phones that, the phone calls that come into the federal government. Yeah. So again, the Service to the Citizen Awards, we get a lot of sponsors. So they know, those companies know that this is the kind of work I do. Sometimes it's the head of the public sector in a company. Sometimes it's the head of the global government sector in a company. And sometimes it's the CEO of the company who is like, they know I do this customer experience service delivery work 99% of my time. So, okay. and I've been doing it for so long that I have a lot of long-lasting, long-term relationships with people. Mm-hmm. And I always try to keep in mind, I don't want to sound like, motherhood and apple pie, but I try to keep in mind, my goal is to help the government improve the way they deliver services to the public. And while we all need to make a living, I feel like, knowing that you can wake up every day and help the government improve services that improve people's lives is kind of what keeps me going all, for so many years.
Yeah. I love that for you. Tell us more about what has worked for you to get in touch both, because then I understand it's not a marketplace, but you're both in touch with the government agencies and with the companies supporting the government agencies. So what has worked for you to get the attention of those decision makers, of those right people, like marketing, branding wise? I'm not talking about sales yet, but really what has worked for you to get people to knock on the door and be like, Martha, we might want to hire you here because we have a problem?
So I have a pretty robust social media presence in terms of, I run the consulting side, Dorris Consulting International, and then I also run a nonprofit, the Public Service Leadership Academy. and that's what hosts the Service to the Citizen Awards. And so, I host the awards program. It's about 500 or 600 people at a black tie on a Friday night. So it's a big event and gets a lot of outreach. And then I run these two big conferences that I MC the whole day of these conferences. And so, the DCI branding is on that. The PSLA branding is on Service to the Citizen. And then, of course, I do my own podcast, and we get, 15,000 or more downloads for every podcast every month. And I bring in people from either Service to the Citizen award winners to kind of amplify their stories and what they've done to improve services, or anything that I come across that I feel like is important for either government or industry to know about, that's particularly important to me. I'll do a podcast on them. So I think that's when I said it all. I don't think I planned it exactly like this, but I always try to think about, as I'm starting anything new,
Yeah.
How does it fit into the whole system? And when I started doing the newsletter, the Citizen Services newsletter, which goes out to over 30,000 people. So when we send out the newsletter, and the podcast, they go to 30,000 people. And then when we send out the newsletter, we actually put the podcast in the newsletter. So it all kind of works together. I was told not to do the newsletter, because the first month it's really fun and you're really excited about it. And the second month you're like, oh my God, that month went by so fast. And then the third month it's like, well, maybe we can just skip this month and do it quarterly. And I think we're up to like 106 issues of the newsletter, and I think 71 episodes of the podcast. And I do think trying to always come at it from the pure goal of helping the government improve services has helped.
How do you think this whole ecosystem leads to conversations with potential clients? Because, so first of all, well played, although it wasn't deliberate in the first place. But like, how do you transform all this reach, all this audience, those 30,000 people on the newsletter, those 15,000 people listening to the show each and every month? How do you lead all that to calls booked, opportunities triggered, SOWs, letter of engagement, we rock and roll? How does all this ecosystem fit into getting you business, Martha?
I just, I don't really go out looking for work.
Amazing.
It's just me, and my daughter works with me and does my social media, produces the podcast and the newsletter. And she, we do that 500 person Service to the Citizen by ourselves, just the two of us, although we do get a lot of volunteers the day of the event to work it. And I think it's just, building those trusted relationships with the government so that you can help them and what's going on, and you can bring people to them or create, opportunities for them to get together. And at this stage in my life, I only work with companies I believe in their products, people that I enjoy working with, things that I believe in. And for a retiree, I'm busy more than I probably should be. So I don't know. It's just, again, it having that thought that every day you can get up and do something that helps improve lives. And the Service to the Citizen program, I feel like, I hold in the power of my hands, because it's 9 years. This is our 9th year. The ability to highlight and recognize and celebrate public servants that are doing crazy good work under not always the easiest circumstances, and their mission and their focus is always the same. And so they want to do a good job. And there's a lot of really, really, like when you mentioned the Social Security Administration, you won't find any employee at SSA that doesn't want to do the best they can to serve the public and serve the beneficiaries. So, it's not that I don't think it's going to last, maybe it won't last forever. But so far, 10 years, it's been gone pretty well.
Looks like it. I like your style, Martha. So I'm going to try and throw a little bit of a curveball question at you now.
Oh,
If
no.
you don't mind.
Okay, go for it.
You're going to rock it. What's your number one challenge right now? And I usually ask this in the context of your business, but I understand, you're working more than you should as a retiree. So I don't even know if there is a challenge in the business. It's just you're doing this because it's fun and you like it and you're mission driven. In what you do currently, what's the biggest challenge that you're facing? And how are you thinking about solving it?
Well, in the federal government, we have administration changes every 4 to 8 years.
Mhm.
And I've been through a lot of administration changes. And as you're winding down and getting ready to go into an election cycle, that there are things that you need to do to be ready for the next group. And so,
What kind of things?
sometimes, if one administration does something, regardless of whether it's successful or not, that they're going to want to rebrand it under the next administration so that they can take credit for it, no matter who it is. Red,
That's insane.
blue, whatever. It's the same situation. And so, but we also know that delivering outstanding services to the public and employees or the workforce increases efficiency in the government, improves the lives of citizens, creates, a more responsive government. There's so many benefits. It's really not a partisan issue. We do have administrations who have focused on it and approached it in different ways, and you really have to kind of pivot, bob and weave a little bit so that you are addressing it and getting the new people to understand it in a way that is being applied in the government. And so, when you think about a lot of people coming into as political appointees into an administration, that many times they come in from the private sector and they think about customer experience as, are you getting a Diet Coke in your refrigerator when you go to the Ritz-Carlton, or when you go to Starbucks, do they call you by name? But in reality, it's a much more business discipline in terms of using data, understanding, what people want, being able to solve their problem, answer their question the first time they call you, so they're not calling you over and over again, which is very expensive. So a lot of it is just continuing to educate people on the value of using customer experience practices, using human-centered design, getting real-time feedback from customers. So we're still in that process of educating people, and it never stops, because even within agencies, as people come and go, you have to kind of revisit what is the value of it, how does it improve the way you deliver service. So that's always a challenge, and it's an ongoing challenge. As technology comes in, you start working with different communities within the government. So you may have the customer experience, digital services communities, and then you've got the IT community. The technologists are always interested in implementing new technology. So we're always fighting for what is the problem you're trying to solve so that you're using the right technology and bringing in those principles. Like, for example, one thing that just happened in the Customs and Border Protection is they were doing a chatbot, and the customer experience lead encouraged them to use user experience testing or user testing. And they found out that people wanted to use the chatbot in an entirely different way than they thought they were going to want to use it. So you can actually build things that meet the needs of your users. And when you release it, it meets their needs, as opposed to releasing it, they don't use it the way you thought they were going to use it. And then there's all this rework and rebuilding that costs a lot of money to do it afterwards. So those are all the kind of how that whole customer experience, human-centered design ecosystem work.
Martha, Dorris, ladies and gentlemen. Martha, if people want to find out more about you, see what you do, where should they go?
Well, you can go to LinkedIn. You can go to DorrisConsulting.com. You can go to servicetothecitizen.org if you want to learn about the Service to the Citizen Awards program. We do have some videos on YouTube also, like the program last year, the video from last year, the recording. And then we have some of the winners' acceptance speeches. And we also have videos from a lot of the award winners on proud moments serving their customers. And it's really heartwarming to see. And that's part of my goal for even doing this. It's like, I want to get the word out beyond the Washington, D.C. echo chamber that public servants are really trying to do a good job and trying to serve the citizen.
Mission driven, as I said. We'll put all the links in the description. I can say one thing for sure, Martha, is that you've gained at least one new connection on LinkedIn out of this interview. Me, I just added you. Martha, thank you so much for coming on the Principal Podcast.
Well, thank you for having me. I really enjoyed it.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of the Principal Podcast. We hope you learned valuable strategies to grow your firm and take your business to the next level. Make sure to subscribe and leave us a review wherever you're listening to this show so you never miss an episode. To apply and be a guest on the show, click the link in the description. See you next time.